Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Train.
Bam.
This is Jeff here with co-host
What's
Chip.
up?
What's going on, man?
Everything.
I'm like all crazy over here, man. Today, you know what? XRP, is it in crisis? The XRPL is Bitcoin, Chip, the solution to the crisis.
I don't know. Is it, Jeff? We're gonna
I
find
don't know,
out.
but we're gonna find out.
We are gonna unpack this puppy. We're gonna find out. We're gonna dive headfirst into the shallow end for what? Maximum impact. That's the best way to get some impact. You ready, Jeff?
I'm ready. Let's kick
Let's
this thing
do
off.
it.
Let's go.
Boom.
Welcome to On the Chain.
What's up,
Right.
OTC on the chain family? What is going on, everybody? Good to see you guys. Go ahead and tweet this out. You know, phone your neighbors, wake the kids, tell them to get on the chain right now. That's what you have to do.
Right.
Get on the chain.
Right.
Who's ready to get started? Hell yeah, we are getting ready to get started. Let's do this.
Hell yeah, we're getting ready to get this thing kicked off because Alex is saying, have people lost their minds? Bitcoin a
Yes.
solution
Yes.
to what? To what? Conservation of energy, high throughput, cheap fees. Sounds like a dem solution.
It sure does sound like that, doesn't it, Jeff? It's
It
funny how
does. Man, XRP speedboat. After the first nuke test, aliens were watching and said, oh, Christ, the kids have found the matches. All right, we're ready to kick this thing off. You know why? Because it is going to be awesome. Right, Crypto G? Crypto G.
Crypto G, yeah, let's do this right here. So let's jump in
Start with
right
some
here.
Partnerships.
Let's
Chip.
go right in there. We said we jump head first into the shallow end. Maximum
I
impact.
want-
Here we go
I
right
want
here.
Minimal impact.
So you got to love the WrathofKahneman. Always tweeting great stuff. I mean, always spot on. Of course, that's not really him. This is a professor, right? Let's see who that is. Yeah, it's not Professor Kahneman. No, it's not him. He just likes to use him as an avatar. And this came from WrathofKahneman, Ripple partner Tranglo, which I believe they owe close to 50% of. Anyway, a pretty big majority stake Ripple holds of Tranglo, based over in Asia, is partnered with Ripple user UniTeller to expand its services in 13 Asia-Pacific markets, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, and Nepal. The press notes access to Ripple is in play. And here's a story on it right here. US-based remittance firm UniTeller partners with Tranglo. So we got basically two partners partnering together, right? You got two Ripple partners kind of coming in, Tranglo and UniTeller. Kind of cool news here. International remittance payments processor based in the US extended remittance services to more customers in Asia Pacific by partnering with the Malaysian cross-border payment specialist Tranglo.
I like it, man. 13 markets. That's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid. It's like just like that, just like a partnership, Jeff. And then this will add more than 58,000 cash pickup points, more than 1,100 account deposit banks, 9 e-wallet platforms to its existing payment network. Now, you know, it doesn't sound that impressive, but you got to think about how many 58,000 cash pickup points. These are places you could actually go to be able to pick up cash and moving places. That's a lot, right? To add to a network.
I was going to mention that. I was going to say, what exactly is a cash pickup point?
Well, that's like, you know, for example, here in the States, you have Walmart. They use MoneyGram. You can go into Walmart and you can pick up money. You know, one of these type of places where you actually go in there and receive the fiat currency based on what was cash. You can get your cash, right? Your fiat.
I like it. I'm going to get my cash.
Collaboration also gives UniTeller access to RippleNet. You see that, Jeff? The global financial network of Ripple, which agreed to acquire a 40% stake in Tranglo. Okay, it was 40% in March of 2021. UniTeller has had a presence in Asia for 2 decades and has rapidly been expanding its network to cover more than 90,000 paying locations in the region.
It's interesting because we don't really hear a lot about UniTeller, right? It's US based, but it's US based, which is interesting. The fact, I mean, this is some big coverage. It's just one more, positive partnership building in the blockchain environment, right? So they're not building exactly, but if they're using RippleNet, they're using a solution that is utilizing a crypto asset. They're utilizing ODL potentially, right? So it's there. The potential is there. The idea is there. the rails are being built for when you talk about hopping into the diving into the shallow end for maximum impact. If you don't have any rails, you have no shallow end. You get no impact. You dive in and just empty space.
Just an endless abyss, Jeff. It just keeps going on forever.
You keep looking. You're looking for bottom, and you're like, when you were a kid, you used to dive into the deep end and see if you could touch the bottom. It looked like it was close, but that's what it'd be like if there were no rails. You would dive in, and you would think the bottom was there, and you kept looking, and nothing. So this is really important. I think overall, when we're starting to look at the development of what's happening. Yesterday we spent a little bit of time talking about the G-Man, and as we were talking about him and his idea of regulation through the enforcer. He wants to be the enforcer. He might need a few more muscles, but he could be potentially. But think about what's happening all over the world, though. While they're trying to trick you with a shiny object in their left hand, all these other things are being orchestrated.
Right on.
Right in front of us. We just have to, be able to see it.
That's exactly. And, I like the statement too, by partnering with like-minded cross-border payment companies, like-minded in the sense that, they're all using the similar tech. We can integrate international pay networks, combine our tech strengths and local market knowledge to make even greater impact on the industry of what each of us can achieve individually. And that's Alberto Aguilera, the Chief Executive Officer of UniTeller. And globally, remittances remain resilient in the current environment, with Asia registering the largest volume in remittances, which is crucial to support the livelihood needs of people in low to middle income countries. And the most important part about that, Jeff, really comes down to, you're talking about low to middle income, and they pay these massive fees. So I would imagine that's going to also be a big part of it. It says, as a cross-border payments processor rooted in Asia, we're excited to work with UniTeller to expand and enhance remittance channels in the region, said Jackie Lee, the Chief Executive Officer of Tranglo. He looks quite surprised in this picture, like, we're going to take a picture when? And it was like, oh, we already took it. It's kind of like that.
Can you retake it? No, we got
Alberto Guerrero is like, I'm confident. What's up? How are you doing? Thank you for stopping by, And Jackie Lee is just he was just a little surprised. Wasn't quite ready for the shot.
Does have a little bit of that surprise look,
Yeah.
It is a little, man, I would want to get a different picture.
Yeah, well, it happens. It's like sometimes you get
It's okay.
Sometimes it kind of sneaks up on you a little bit there, Jeff. It'll happen from time to time. It's not like it's going to be.
We don't want to get caught up in somebody's sweater. So let's move on.
What are you saying, Jeff, exactly?
Nothing.
So I don't know if we covered this story, but this is another one too. This is SABB goes live with instant USD payments for corporate corporates.
The Saudi bank.
Yeah, the Saudi bank, but I think it
been
actually,
a little while.
But it went live though. So I don't think it was live when we talked about it.
Oh, it just happened. Just went live.
Yeah, it just went live on the 29th. So again, it's nice. It's so funny they getting the Ripple name out there. Tech powered by Ripple. Launch of the service announced during the 5th edition of the Future Investment Initiative. That was back in October, but that didn't go. It wasn't long. They announced it in October, and boom, it's live. I mean, they may have been working on it a little bit longer, but it says SABB's not only the first Saudi bank to join Ripple's network for blockchain tech, it's also the first bank in the region to offer near real-time USD settlement for its corporate clients. Jeff, how are they doing that exactly?
I have no idea. How that's possible.
Near real-time, Jeff? It sounds like sorcery to me.
It is sorcery, especially if you use Swift.
Swift, the network that you find out there's a mistake 4 days later. They're 4 or 5 days into it, and you're like, oh, there's an error. But don't forget, Jeff, they came out and said, oh, we came out with new tech where we'll know the error happened within 24 hours. Okay. Supposedly. Allegedly, they say, right? And it says this expansion of the solution to cover the U.S. corridor, the third one through Ripple, post the success activation of this technology for the Indian rupee, the Lankan rupee in early 2019, with the kingdom's enhanced focus on digitally enabled solutions. SABB aims to continue to bring innovative solutions to its customers in the country. And this is where you have a lot of expats from India who are basically going to work there and they need to send money home, and then they're getting hammered with these ridiculous fees. And on top of it, their families depending on, the revenue, the earning potential of, the family member. And guess what? It's plagued by, prone to errors and all kinds of other things. Now we're talking about near real time. Hey, I sent it. Did you get it? No, I don't have it yet. Okay, I got it.
Nope. I got it. It's here. I got it. It's secure. Now that's the way to do it. Imagine you're on the phone and you can just secure it immediately. You can't do that any other way. I mean, it's this is for those who have never really had to deal with a cross-border payment solution. And the reason why, Chip, I think both you and I, are so, gung-ho about the technology and, what it really means overall from an economic perspective globally. But when you've had experience moving money internationally and dealing with clients in different parts of the world, and your money doesn't go through, or if there's a delay in sending the money because of exchange rates, because they know it's good, the transaction is going to take a week, and during that week's time, the exchange rate will turn unfavorable. If they can't secure the right rate, it's mind-boggling how that can interfere with business overall. And Chip, I think when you're in a position where you have the person on the phone and you say, okay, are you sending it? I'm sending it right now. Did you get it? I got it. And to me, that's a game-changing solution.
Huge.
Even if it takes 3 seconds or 4 seconds, it's like, hey, did you get it yet? No, I didn't. Hey, how was that birthday party you went to last night? Hey, I just got it. It's great. You can engage a little bit in some additional conversation while it's coming through. Typically, the way it works, you get to go through this process where they say, okay, what's your SWIFT code? Okay, here it is. I sent it. Are you sure you sent it? Did it really go through? Whoa, there you go. Ferdy, what's up, boys? It's let's not sleep hours in the Netherlands.
Well,
that's
yeah.
right. Because you guys stay awake. You guys stay awake all hours of the night.
Good to see you, Ferdy. Good to see you. And then Brooks Entwistle, Managing Director, RippleNet in the APAC, and Mina said, over the past years, Ripple has built the first in-market solution leveraging blockchain tech to revolutionize cross-border payments. This right here is huge. This is why there are going to be victors, and to the victors go the spoils. This is one of the reasons. This has been going on for 8 years. We're excited to bring this market into partnership with SABB and to continue our longstanding partnership to the benefit of corporate consumers alike in the region. But again, this statement right there, built the first in-market solutions leveraging blockchain tech. And first to market is always a good thing. But of course, it's always the tech. It's combined with the whole big picture, right? So it's also the on-demand liquidity, it's the rails, it's everything all together. So it's not just the one thing.
You're right. And I also want to reference the fact that, the significance of it being with the Saudi bank, it bears a lot of significance. And, one of the things that we've seen over the years, and if you've ever traveled over to the UAE or, and you see what's going on in Dubai, and you've seen how they made the major transition over to a non-reliance on oil and the economic benefit that they received as a direct result. Well, Saudi also identified that and started a couple of years ago making a transition away from oil, investing a lot in technology. And so you see a lot of the Saudi petrodollars going into tech, attracting tech companies over to Saudi, investing heavily in AI. That's a real big initiative for the Saudis, preparing themselves for more business transaction beyond just oil. They saw the writing on the wall, just as they did over in Dubai. And so, from that perspective, this means a lot. So the Saudis are excited to start integrating technology into the everyday workings of their economy and to be ahead of the game. They want to be a few steps ahead. And I find it really interesting that we see economies in transition, moving from old ways of doing things to new ways of doing things. We see some struggle over in India. Eventually, they'll gravitate to the right way. But like in, Saudi Arabia, they're definitely making that change. El Salvador, definitely making that change. Singapore, the list goes on and on. Portugal, all these countries are making the change. And while the U.S. still tripping over their shoelaces, it's astonishing.
It's a clown show, Jeff. It's a major clown show.
It's unbelievable.
Without a doubt. And speaking of clown shows, this just happens to be one of the segues here. But Maxine Waters announced the cryptocurrency CEOs that are going to testify at the full committee hearing. This is coming up next week. If you remember, we had sort of talked about this as being a positive thing, just based on the fact that it's named, where is it now? It's digital assets in the future of finance, versus something, understanding challenges and benefits of financial innovation in the United States. Thank God it's at least positive. It's not like how Bitcoin is and rug pulls can destroy your world. It's nothing like that. And so look at this, Jeff. It's a lot of the players you might expect, but not the players we want, right? Jeremy Allaire. I like Jeremy Allaire. I think he's a good representative. Obviously, CEO of Circle and the new stablecoin. What is it? USDC, I believe it is. So he's going to be there. Is there any surprise with Jeremy Allaire? Kind of almost expected that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
How about Sam Bankman-Fried, CEO of FTX? Okay, not bad.
He's a good representative.
He's going to own the world at some point. I mean, he's going to buy everything.
Pretty close to it, and all the big brick and mortar should start paying attention.
Yeah, and then we got Brian Brooks. Boom. And he's now the CEO of Bitfury, which is really sort of a, if you guys don't know about Bitfury, they make a lot of mining rigs. They make a lot of stuff, a giant. I think that maybe El Salvador is using that. You saw those like big housing units where they have all the stuff. They have the underwater cooling stuff for the basically for mining Bitcoin. Almost everything is around Bitcoin. So Brian Brooks, now that was a comptroller. That was the OCC compared to who they want to put in there, who actually did some good things.
Man, imagine that one, right? Imagine putting Brian Brooks up against whoever they bring in. Just put him up, have a conversation. Almost like, Jay Clayton and Gary Gensler yesterday, but instead of having the previous interview, the current, which makes no sense whatsoever. Right? Why do I care if Jay Clayton was asking Gary Gensler questions? Well, especially since they're on the same page. But in this scenario, could you imagine Brian Brooks and again, whoever, they could have that Amarova. I mean, it would be, just it'd be astonishing.
Well, not only that, but Brian Brooks being the ex-chief counsel of Coinbase, of course, he spent a little. He went to he was at the office of comptroller, and then after that, he had a brief stint over at Binance.us, and then finally moved on to CEO of Bitfury. What I like about Brian Brooks and what he brings to the equation is a deep understanding of the entire space. He understands. He's not a micro focus. Now, even though he's with a company that exclusively really works with Bitcoin mining, he's not an individual that's narrowly focused. He understands the entire crypto scene. He understands, especially if it better than anybody. It'll be interesting to see if anybody mentions this SEC v. Ripple extortion case. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, shakedown case that's going on right now. I think that's pretty impressive. Then you got Chad Casaria. He's the CEO of Paxos. I don't know. Not a bad. I mean, okay.
Yeah, where are we going now?
Here's the one that I thought was interesting. Danelle Dixon. She's the CEO of the Stellar Development Foundation. Now, it's kind of odd. I mean, I get why they probably wouldn't have pulled somebody in there like Brad Garlinghouse, obviously because of the litigation that's going on. But when I look at something like, Danelle Dixon, I think she's been a very good CEO for Stellar. I think it was a good choice. I mean, I think she's getting out there. They're getting more partnerships together. She's a good representative of the technology. I follow her on Twitter, putting a lot of good stuff up there. I think she'll do well in this hearing as well. And tech's very similar to what Ripple and maybe Hedera Hashgraph and some of the other altcoins that are really focused around payments. Yeah, you're working, Jim D. Then you have Elisa Haas. She's the CEO of Coinbase, also the CFO of Coinbase Global. So she's charged of the money globally, but not locally. It's just like you can run the money globally, but locally we'll have somebody else work on that. So the chief executive officer. Now, this one, Jeff, your thoughts on this? Coinbase being represented at this hearing.
Well, no, I think it's important. All the there's a lot of key figures that are going to be coming in to speak at this hearing. It's not like they're putting them on trial. I think I think they want to hear from them. Um, I believe that at this point, we're starting to see that Maxine Waters is being taken to task, and there's now an effort where she has no choice but to really start bringing people in, and with this current list, I definitely see overall it's a net positive. Obviously, it would be great to have Garlinghouse come in. I would like to see, and it's going to be interesting to see the questioning. So, regardless of which side, we have or whoever they put up there, it's going to be interesting to see the types of questions asked. And I think that's what we need to take note of. And then how some of these people respond, because I would assume that Sam Freed is going to respond. Brian Brooks is going to respond. Each one of them, Danelle Dixon, they should all be responding to say, hey, yes, we want some sort of regulatory clarity. We do not want enforcement. You cannot regulate via enforcement, and we need a clear path. And hopefully they have the cojones to really say that, it's up to Congress to pass these initiatives. Right. If someone was to ask, I would say, hey, you guys are sitting on it. We've already talked about the Token Taxonomy Act. We got Tom Emmer sitting right over there. He's got a bill, proposed over here. We got Warren Davis proposed. Darren, so all these people in Congress have got great bills sitting in front of you. You're asking us questions. Why don't you go back and read some of those bills? Could you imagine, if Brian Brooks was to respond, hey, when I was the, comptroller of the currency, here's what I saw. Here's what I did. If I was in your position right now, here's what I would recommend doing. I really hope that they come out and they're not afraid to speak their mind. That's the biggest concern. Do you think that of these individuals so far, are they going to speak their mind, or are they going to somehow retreat into a turtle shell?
I think Jeremy Allaire is very good too. He's another one that has a very good understanding. Also, too, he's been around the space for a long time. I can remember using Circle to send Bitcoin back in that 2013, 2014. But then they had some issues and I couldn't use it anymore to go to something else. But again, he's somebody that's very steeped in the space. Now, I think he's going to get a lot of the questioning on the stable coins. They're probably going to hammer him just because of the USDC. But I think so. But I think Brian Brooks probably, if I had to put my money on somebody, maybe Sam Bankman-Fried too. He is just such a wealth of knowledge. I think you're right, Jeff. It's going to come down to what the questioning is and what they're going to say. There's also another big name that I think is missing from this list. Let's get through it. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that was it. So one of the big names that I think is missing also is Charles Hoskinson. He's somebody who is so vocal, and maybe too vocal to a fault, only because he is very strong in his beliefs. He holds them very firm. But I tend to agree with a lot of the stuff he says. Now, I may not agree with everything he says, but again, what he is trying to do with Cardano, and we just saw that. It looks like there might be another shakedown going on where one exchange delisted.
They wouldn't bring him in.
That could be why they didn't bring him in.
He's going to be very adamant.
Yeah, he's going to be spitting fire. That's what we need, Jeff. We need a little bit of hair. You guys, for real? You guys been sitting on the token taxonomy for 3 years. What gives? He might be a guy that would return the questioning, to some of them. But I think the other stars we're going to see tomorrow. You're going to see all of the proponents that have either been involved with, co-authored, co-sponsored any of the bills on both sides is where you're going to see some of the best questioning coming from. I
think so too. It's going to be interesting because I can already foresee. Let me see. I want to pull up a list here because you can already kind of get an idea of how the line of questioning is going to go just based on what we've seen so far. So we're sitting in the. Let's see who we have here. We've got Patrick McHenry.
Yep.
We've got Tom Emmer.
Outstanding.
Warren Davidson.
Big time.
Ted Budd.
Yes.
Right. So we've got some really strong, solid
Heavyweights.
people, some big heavyweights in the space. Let me share this real quick. And then we've got on the other side, we've got the Shermanator.
Please, Jeff, for the interest of time, let's hope that he, and it was funny when Congressman Tom Emmer was on here just about a week and a half ago. It was so funny that, Brad Sherman's came up. As soon as you mentioned Brad Sherman, the first thing I wanted to shout out was Shermanator, because that's Jeff's little moniker for him. And I almost thought you were going to say, I call him the Shermanator. I think you would have laughed at that and might have slipped out in one of these hearings. You'd be like, okay, Shermanator. I mean,
the Shermanator was your
right, which are nonsense.
And then we've got Josh Gottheimer. He's actually on board with these guys, as a co-signer. But that's really it. I don't see, there's nobody else on the other side that has really signed on to any of the legislation. But you've got some strong people over here, which is great. So, so I really see that we're going to see, that we're going to have some positive, aggressive questioning. I expect a lot, from these guys. I really do.
I'm expecting the unexpected personally, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm expecting positive things, and I'm expecting like unknown things. I mean, a lot of cool things that come out of it. One of the things we teased in the open had to really do with the XRPL, and that thing has been getting hammered. And I really fear that WietseWind is really starting to crush under the pressure, just because of some of the things that are going down right now. So I'm going to put a couple of his tweets up, and I'm going to ask everybody to sort of give him a break, only because I think he's under a tremendous amount of pressure. One of the things he said in one of his tweets was that, he's watching his startup, and he's got a family, young family, 2 young kids, a wife, and he's working all hours of the clock. They have a small team, and his startup just being crushed. I mean, watching the
Gary Gensler?
No, I'm talking about WietseWind. Not Gary Gensler. That's a different kind of crush. That's throat punching right there.
He's got a startup. It's called the SEC.
Well, it's not a startup. It's a shakedown organization. It's been around for a long time. So this is one of the tweets that he put out here, which is he says, so there's an announcement. This is the Twitch. Obviously, that's in Dutch right there. And if Ferdy's still on, he knows what that means.
Ferdy, can you translate that for us?
Just go ahead and translate that. Hoi WietseWind. Hello. It's probably Hoi. It's like, hello, WietseWind. The DeFi Winter Hackathon with minority programmers, NFTs, and the XLS 20 standard is. So he got this from RippleX. This is something that's been in the works for a while, right?
I understood all that. That looks like English.
By the way, I've got 2 giant Dutch posters in my massive things in my house that I had to translate. I know what they mean, but so I've got some Dutch art around the old Chip homestead. And he goes, "Are you kidding me? The entire network is effed." All non-Ripple techies are running around in circles trying to get the network back to life. What a great moment to have an NFT hackathon. Now, you got to understand.
That's English, Chip. English.
Is it? That's interesting, because I don't know what click this link. I know what that means. Click this link. I don't know what new kitchen means.
Is that how you pronounce
English.
It?
New kitchen. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't speak Dutch, Jeff. Barely speak English at this point. Anywho, so anyway, you can see WietseWind's
nuke it.
Yeah, he said anyway, it's up on. So basically, this is the notice, and he's under a lot of pressure. He hasn't been getting a lot of sleep. He's like, the entire network's effed. You got non-Ripple techies running around, because you know how the whole community gets up in arms and starts going nutty. What a great moment to have. Now bring in the level-headed voice of reason to comment on this, and that's none other than Matt Hamilton.
Matt Hamilton, that's a good one.
Yeah, Matt Hamilton says, indeed, next time we should try and schedule XRP ledger problems a month or 2 in advance so others can plan any talks or education events around them.
That's a good idea.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, hang on a second. We're going to schedule a problem 1, 2, 3 months ahead, and the emoji is great too. It's like, I don't even know how you get that emoji. I don't know. Looking up, I don't even know what that one means, but it's a perfect emoji. But he's so it's 2 things that are happening here with Matt. He's basically, agreeing with him, like, yeah, indeed. But what are you supposed to do? Cancel it? I mean, you had people, it's something they were gonna do. So it's, again, WietseWind's under a lot of pressure, and he's such an amazing guy, amazing developer. And what's interesting to see him is just blowing his top on Twitter. because he's so level-headed almost all the time. So Matt Hamilton kind of brings a little clarity to it.
Yeah. So we've got, hang on, where'd it go? How much they get for this title crisis, Ahmed.
Crisis.
But John was saying, I love how the market knows that the XRPL is going to be fine. Growing pains.
No,
Go back
of
to
course
there.
it
I
is.
guess Jungle had a comment in there too. Did you see his comment?
I didn't see it because I'm stuck on JV's comment because I don't want to lose it. And JV the Great has been killing it, crushing it
That's a
on
good
not
one.
only on
Let's pull
Twitter
that
but
one up.
everywhere. I want to
Pull
put this
JV
one up.
comment.
I want to call him the Great JV, but his name is actually JV the Great. But I'll call him the Great JV anyway. Give a little chip spin. He says nobody's getting their money taken from airdrops. If you are, you're doing something wrong. And thank you for bringing that up, Jay,
point.
because I've been seeing this all over Twitter. It's like, well, I don't know. Should I set a trust line for that? Well, if you set a trust line to it, you tie up 2 XRP and it'll probably be garbage. Okay. So that's really all that happens. How are you getting your, like, people are like, oh my God, I'm losing money. No, that's when somebody reaches out to you and says, if you send XRP, we'll send you 1 billion tokens. Okay.
And that's not really a trust line.
Yeah. The trust line has nothing to do with it. It's what happens after that. And something on a user level, we used to call them PEPCAP errors. Problem exists between keyboard and mouse or keyboard and trackpad. These sort of things that happen. An ID10T error, which if you look closely, it spells idiot. So these are the things we talked about, in the IT world. It's like, hey, no, it doesn't have anything with doing with an airdrop. So, but now the airdrops and anybody can spin this up, make a trust line and mint some coins, and then this is what's really bogging it up. So anyway, I thought I would just hit that. Did Jungle put something in there?
The comment was in the tweet, not in the...
Oh, in the tweet.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
And the last one?
Somewhere in there. Miguel was saying if you close the trust line, you actually get your 2 XRP back.
Correct.
Robert said, I sold all my trust line coins and made a few thousand XRP.
All right, well, that's awesome.
That's good. You get
Okay,
some
so
and you turn around and sell it.
So Kuma said that's a shit comment, Matt, and won't age well. And Matt came back with, yes, it was overly sarcastic, and maybe I should not have been. But I do find the idea of an event that started a month ago should have been canceled because a month later there might be an issue with the network. It's kind of ludicrous. So and I kind of took it as like, when you say indeed, you're agreeing with the person. So right off the bat, you're agreeing. So you almost expect what comes next is going to be sarcastic. But Jeff, this is one of the things about Twitter, and I don't like emojis. I'm a non-emoji guy. You won't see arrows and thumbs and pointing and but you will sometimes. There's 2 emojis that I like to use. I have to use like a laughing face because if I say something that's overly sarcastic, I want people to know I'm joking. The only way I can do that is put a stupid emoji in. I dislike emojis. I don't like them in tweets. I don't like being tagged with 4,000 names and then I got to find where the substance is in there. Because there's ways you can tag me in the tweet underneath it if you want me to retweet it.
I don't want
to
the little smiley face or the little wink or whatever it is, because it's hard to get someone's personality or a tone of comment out of a text. It just doesn't flow well.
No, but and I'm not going to go through this.
That's part of the issue.
It is. So because you don't get tone, right? If I'm saying something here, it might come off a little bit different if you're just listening to the podcast, our audio-only podcast, which is available everywhere. Podcasts can be found.
That's
Apple,
right.
Google, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you might.
And we're actually doing pretty well, Chip, on the podcast.
The podcast is
really blow up.
We're starting to grow very well. I think our podcast is growing faster than it is over here. So it's really starting to on a growth spurt. So I thank all of you because I feel like a lot of this audience probably just listens to us in the car and kind of catches up on news or the banter or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Brent is saying, how do you lose money when it's free?
Well, you don't.
That's a good point. If
but
someone
it's what
gives it to you free, how are you losing it?
No, you're not. And so this came out. This was authored by Elliot Lee. He's a dev over there at Ripple, and also Nick Bogalis. They're both with RippleX Engineering. I'm going to kind of like go through this, but they kind of like cite the problem of the XRPL ledger. It's been unstable. There's been a halting consensus that happened on November 3rd, basically tied it up for several hours. Like these are things that shouldn't happen, but a number of trust lines, tokens, and transactions on the network increased dramatically, and the size of the network state has grown. So it's kind of like you have the normal traffic, and all of a sudden you got all these massive amount of trust lines in there. And now the growth is, now you have to address it. Despite the challenges, they're going to make forward progress because of the hard work they're putting in. So they're taking actions towards a solution. Since 2013, Ripple, along with others in the community, contributed to improvements. Teams submitted proposed enhancements to the performance of the code base once it's approved by the community. Some have already been adopted, especially the set of changes that reduce the memory usage. And they're going to continue to make these sort of things. These fixes appeared in 1.17 or 7.0 release. They're already helping the network. So there's a bunch of things they're doing. So one of the things they're going to do is going to make it easier to run Rippled in reporting mode. This helps handling the RPC and the WebSocket client requests outside the main Rippled process. This will basically help them scale it horizontally. It makes the service available to more clients. It'll be way more efficient. Working on Project Clio. This was one of the projects that was presented at Apex, the dev conference they had not too long ago. It's being designed to efficiently service RPC and WebSocket clients, building profile guided improvements, which eliminate the lock contention, proposing several protocol level improvements. So I'm not going to go through them all, but it's a lot of things. Look, call to action. They're actually doing something. So just know that it's being worked on, and it's not like it's going to be avoided. It's just that, nobody was expecting. It's like no one expected the Spanish Inquisition, Jeff. It just happened. It's like nobody expects. You're not sitting around. You're always prepared for the worst. But these trust lines sort of came out of nowhere. And then everyone and their mother was all of a sudden launching a new trust line. Then I started following an account on Twitter that would launch all the new trust lines. And I was like, dude, what are all these trust lines? The names of them.
There's so many of them. Yeah, man. Someone was saying, people have been asking about Solo. What's going on with Solo? How's that going to work? What's going to happen? And do you realize, and some of these airdrops, some of these trusts, I do think the trust lines and the airdrops are going to put a little bit of a strain, on the ledger. There's a lot of other things that are being orchestrated on the ledger. But you need to have it. You need to have it so they can figure this part of it out. But if you look at Solo right now, ever since they really started talking about this airdrop, Solo is now sitting at $5.77.
Holy cats. Yeah, it was like a buck something when they.
It's up more than 2 times. I mean, it's crazy, the growth of Solo. And
they knew what they were doing, Jeff. No mistakes.
Yeah. So they got some excitement, definitely picked up the pace. And now, when they go, and people are asking about Solo, because obviously we have Vagabond right now. Vagabond is, they did their snapshot already for VGB. That happened yesterday or at midnight.
It actually happened. They closed it on Friday, I believe.
Did they close it before the 1st? Yeah. The snapshot was supposed to be on the 1st. So they closed it early?
No, they closed it because you had to the snapshot happened on the 1st, but the actual registration.
The registration part, right. But the snapshot is far. So now the next one is this Sologenic, which is going to take place on December 24th. So there's a little bit of time, but this one I think is really even, we're excited to see where that Vagabond project goes, but I'm even more excited to see what happens to Sologenic here, just from a financial aspect. But I think Sologenic, they've already got, a value. They have projects already in the works. They have an actual functional product that they've been using, a platform. They've so much that's already orchestrated. The fact that they're going to start doing a 1-for-1 match on Sologenic, and a 20% match to the XRP. I mean, that to me really is meaningful, financially speaking. But it's lighting a fire under their product right now.
Yeah, and also too, Bob Ross came out and said that he's the CEO of Sologenic. He said the core team is working on open source community-based project. We'll call it X for now. It directly benefits XRP Ethereum holders. And then they've got something coming out. That was an older tweet. There was something coming out on the 20th of December that's going to benefit Solo holders. So I'm curious to see if it might be something DeFi. I was actually trying to find his tweet, but the problem with Twitter is you can never find it. You put the keywords in, you put the person's name, you rarely ever find it. But he said, so kind of, because I think, when Minus Wells was on here the other night, he kind of brought something up. He said there might be a little bit of sell pressure you know, let's say you get dropped 1-to-1 on the solo token, and let's say it's set at $7, and you have 1,000 solo, and all of a sudden now you just doubled your investment. You know, you might want to sell that, right? And of course, you know, the smaller amount going to XRP holders. Everybody gets this. A lot of people might just, you know, grab it and dump it. But I think what they might be doing is if they're going to release something where maybe it's a DeFi related project, because it said it's going to benefit solo holders. I'm wondering if it's going to be a DeFi project where you're going to be like incentivized to not dump and to then take your solo and put it in and then be able to create sort of some kind of rewards or some kind of yield. That's what I'm thinking it is. I'm making
I believe they will.
I don't make predictions, but Jeff, that's the only thing they really can do to really avoid that sell pressure.
Well, that, and, you know, they got the NFT project, but I do think just based on, you know, what they've been doing with Sologenic overall, you know, I do believe that we're going to see something really interesting. With everything, though, there's going to be people that are going to hold. There's going to be some people that are going to sell. You know, is that going to push the price down? You know, how far down will it push it? You know, who knows? I mean, you know, at that point, even if you get a fraction, you know, it's very, very cool. It was supposed to be 5-to-1. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
GDLT, thank you for that. He says, Chip and Jeff, if you have time, Ripple released a new Ripple Drop episode, and it's awesome. Yeah, I caught like 3/4 of it, and it was excellent. Reinhardt, first name, I would get his last name wrong, but he does an excellent job with that. It's really a great, well-produced, slick. You know, I think there were 3 interviews in that. I know that the guy from Dev Null Productions was on there. And it's great. He's got something really cool coming, and I think it's going to be exciting to hear about where you're going to be able to, and I don't know if we'll have enough time, G, to play that. But one of the things that he talked about, Jeff, was coming to XRPL is having like, kind of like buying like land, and depending how big your account is, you could have like buildings on it, a skyscraper, maybe a little town. And so that's going to be coming to the XRPL. He was one of the recipients of one of the Ripple grants. That was something that he talked about in the episode. And, you know, G, you can share some other stuff in there. But I think this project got me super excited. And again, you know, he's been around the space for a long time. He's been building. He's a dev. It's an exciting sounding project because, again, the fact that it's going to be on the XRPL, I just see all kinds of goodness happening. So we kind of
is it like Decentraland? What is it?
Kind of like a Decentraland, yeah. But I mean, you know, I don't know if maybe we'll have time to play a little bit of it, where it's better coming from his mouth. But again, we had so much to get through tonight, so I don't know. But anyway, I want to leave this last thing right here.
Upland,
yeah,
a whole bunch of them.
Exactly like that. So ultimately, the crux of this article is that they believe the issues related to the rapid growth of the XRP ledger are transient, and with the help of the broader community, to be solved. And that's the bottom line. Is yeah, look, you're good. And nothing's perfect in life, and when bad things happen, the community rallies. They go fix it, you know?
Right. That's the positive of the XRP space. If you look
Digital
at Ethereum,
land NFTs, yeah.
Ethereum, they're still struggling. You know, they're trying to figure out how to get the gas prices down. You know, and they haven't figured it out.
Ethereum is going to lose to serious competition, Jeff.
This is it right here. Here's the competition coming in with the XRP ledger. Yeah, they're gonna start doing some of these things. Look at this digital land. You start getting the digital land NFTs. You start really experimenting. Once they get the NFTs going, you start having some smart contract, you know, built into it. We're going to see a lot of happening, you know, great things happening. And Crypto G is talking about an asteroid. You got this asteroid that's inbound coming into somewhere in the Earth's environment.
Well, Jeff, I sure hope it's wearing a mask, because we don't need contaminants running all over the universe. We already have chemtrails. We have everything, Jeff. We don't need any more like contamination. It better have a giant mask on it, protect everybody. I don't know. I'm just saying. There's always an asteroid that's like in seconds. The sun's about ready to blow up, and then it's going to, of course, you're going to need a Faraday cage to keep all of your electronics. That's why it's always good to have an old car laying around you can tinker with that doesn't rely on electronics. If people go about Lambos, I don't want a Lambo. I want like an old 1969 Camaro. It's just an old muscle car, because I know I can fix it myself. I know I can probably find parts somewhere, and I don't rely on electricity. And you never know, man. When the zombie apocalypse hits, you don't want to worry about the the electronics, Jeff. You just don't want to deal with that.
The
Just
zombie
saying.
apocalypse.
It's coming, Jeff. Be careful. Just telling you,
Yeah.
man. I've watched too much
Cheers.
Walking Dead, one of my favorite TV shows. But yeah,
That's what you need right there, Chip.
that's going to
need
be
a,
that right, Jeff, right there,
You need
man.
an
I'm
old
telling you.
school 1977 Toyota Land Cruiser.
So,
That's what you need right there.
who was I watching? Kevin Bacon comes on one of the, it's so funny. I get these amazingly interesting ads before I watch all these YouTubers that I like to watch. And he says, hey, it's Kevin Bacon. He's got his, what's it called? 6 degree. Remember the 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon? And he's an actor and he's got this foundation. He's giving away like a 1970 F-150. And I was super excited about F-100, right? They didn't have the 150. It was an F-100. You saw that?
Yeah.
Amazing, right? I was like, dude, now that's something I would like to win. I would like, I'd obviously be excited to win that. I was like, pristine condition, totally restored, old school. Man, that's something that I could really see some.
There's something to be said for some of those old ones. But I'll tell you what, when I was in Detroit over the past day, I rented a Ford F-150.
Oh, nice. Do you like it?
Dude, oh my God, it was crazy. I can't believe how much power it had.
It's a monster, man.
My truck's got a decent amount of power. That thing, when you press the gas pedal, and my buddy's like, oh, these things are gas hogs. You hit the gas pedal and the engine kicks in. And I swear to God, you're like a hot rod or something. It was loud. It's like, you could feel the power. It was great.
Yeah, it roars. My brother has one.
It's really, really nice. I was shy. I thought it was going to be, it was going to slip around in the rear end a little bit. But because it's lighter than a full-size SUV, it has that extra power. I think it's lighter weight, but it didn't slip around at all. And you could easily, switch it into 4-wheel, so if it all these different settings, it was really,
welcome to
really
Car
nice.
Talk. This is Chip and Jeff. We'll be talking about cars the rest of the time. You guys stumbled into another episode. Thank you, Jeff. I used to like Car Talk when those guys were on. That was like one of the best shows ever on NPR.
That was great.
Anyway, so we got Mo. Let's do the so Reinhardt and Mo Morsi here. I'm going to put this on for a little bit because I think this is really fascinating, interesting.
I'm here with Mo Morsi, the founder and CEO of DevMill Productions. Mo, you've recently applied for an XRPL grant that you were given as well. Can you tell me about the project, this open source project that was approved for this grant, and tell our audience about it?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. It's a real honor to be here. The project which we've received XRPL grant for is known as Ledger City. It is an immersive 3D experience built on the XRP blockchain. In Ledger City, buildings will correspond to accounts. Every account on the blockchain will have a building in Ledger City, and the size and shape of that building will depend on the account. So if you have a large account, you'll have a huge skyscraper. Smaller accounts will have smaller buildings.
That's what she
said. From there, we are going to build and ship an NFT collectible subsystem so that everyone can customize their buildings to match their personality. If you want a statue, a gargoyle, a billboard, radio tower, really based on your vision, how you want to represent yourself on the blockchain, you'll be able to do that with Ledger City.
That's really cool. So I can make myself like a Swiss Alp villa if I want to in Ledger City.
Absolutely. Based on your background, your unique story, the message you're trying to convey, you can customize your own virtual property to match your image.
That's incredible. So Ledger City, what's the overarching aim? Is it about education? Is it about visualization? What's the goal?
All the above, right? And digital assets are very...
If you asked me that question, I'd be like, simple, Reinhardt. It's about money, okay? It's all about value. It's about, it's about getting, if I had to equate it, it's about Benjamins if I'm equating it to fiat. Why would you ask me such a crazy question, Ryan? He's like, it's about all the above. And that's really the good answer. And Mo Morsi's been around the space for a long time. He's one of the good guys around the space. And it's an exciting project, man. I mean, it's a really exciting project. This is the one that I connected with. Fortunately, something happened. I didn't get to watch the whole episode, but I thought it was just really cool. I mean, it's better to hear it from him. And
dude, it's amazing. So I like, it's interesting to see how these games are popping up, testing the equation. Because as you own that real estate, they can turn that certificate into an NFT, right? It's on the blockchain. You have it. You own it. You can then transact in it. So if it becomes a transactable NFT to that land that has value, and it goes back to whatever they develop this into, I mean, there's so much more, in this quote unquote, metaverse world as you go through it, start selling advertising or whatever else are
Metaverse,
going to
Jeff.
be right. The metaverse.
Metaverse. You got to just say that over and over again because everywhere. Metaverse, 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 metaverse. Metaverse. Maybe Dev Null. We'd love to get Mo Morsi on here, man. That'd really be a fantastic interview to get him on here, man. Thank you, G. You've been really instrumental in tonight's show, man. Appreciate that. It's really good stuff. And look at this. Speaking of value, I saw this. Flare retweeted this. They said, hey, this is probably the best explanation of Flare on Twitter. This is from Santiago Velez. He said, because let me go into this because somebody had asked him a question. Somebody had asked, hey, can you please explain in a simple way what the partnership can bring to Flare and Spark and XRP holders? And this talked about,
there you go.
Yeah, he interviewed Hugo Filion, the CEO, and he talked about this. Meanwhile, so the guy's like, well, look, man, can you just put it into something I can understand? And then he basically said, yeah, well, combining liquidity from multiple ecosystems into one for cross-chain interoperability on common smart contracts platform. It's the United Nations of smart contracts for digital assets that don't have native smart contracts like the XRP, XLM, BTC, the BTC, Jeff, the LTC. Gotta put that, the LTP, the etc.
Otherwise,
and you can add ETH also. It's like, you notice how that was outside of it. I was like, well, you can add ETH, by the way. It's
because it doesn't have a native smart
contract. You could ask Doge too. I mean, it's also going to be part of it. But so yeah, that was a pretty cool explanation. I thought that was decent. The United Nations, hopefully, like the concept of the United Nations, not the actual United Nations, right?
I like it, yeah, because we don't like the regular one. Paul is saying, I just bought a cardboard factory on the Meta.
See, that's the best thing about the Meta, man.
They're saying that you're going to have all the millennials are going to be living in cardboard boxes and owning billion-dollar mansions on the Meta.
That's okay, man. You can't get it all, man. You just cannot have it all.
Sometimes you gotta sacrifice.
And also, let's see what else shall I tell you, Jeff? There's so much stuff to get into here. Gosh,
but I'll tell you what, XRP is onto something. He said Solo will tokenize the NASDAQ. And that's kind of where it's going, right? Because they've been planning on tokenizing securities with the Sologenic platform. So, Chip, that's why I think you're onto something as well. Where they get more money in people's hands, there's going to be more to do. There's definitely more to orchestrate. There's a lot of technology that's being contemplated by FTX. Crypto.com just bought two key players in the space that'll help them orchestrate some brick and mortar type financials into the blockchain. And so you see what Coinbase is doing. We know where Uphold is going. We know that Bitrue is selling futures. We know the Binance is trying to get it. They're all getting and orchestrating. So there's a lot going on. Oh man. Oh, we got to go through this. Charles Payne. This is a good wrap up. Hey, before you do that, just want to give everybody a quick shout out. I want to give a shout out to those that are members on the chain, on the website, onthechain.io. You guys have gone over there yet, subscribe, make sure that you join up to onthechain.io over there. There's also a way to support the show a little bit further there as well. Big shout out to everyone here. If you're brand new and you haven't been here before, make sure you hit the red subscribe button to subscribe to On the Chain. Hit the bell notifier, because when you do that, you get notified at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes before we go live. That way you get a little reminder and all sorts of cool stuff. And, just being here, just be part of On the Chain community. So, Chip, what did Charles Payne?
Well, Charles Payne, I've been a fan of Charles Payne. First of all, I love seeing him when he's like, he has his own show on Fox Business, but he also is a frequent guest, and he just crushes it every time he's on. This is a guy that understands. I mean, on every level, Jeff, he's just one of my favorites. He and Charlie Gasparino are just phenomenal. And I love what he's doing right here. And I saw Jay also commented too. Jay put a funny comment on there too. But he's like, hey, this is a public invitation to Gary Gensler. I'm sending the tweet as a public invitation to you to appear as a guest on my show called Making Money with Charles Payne. We have extended several invitations and they've all been declined. Now, I'm used to highly visible and influential progressives. Notice the word there, Jeff. Oh, yeah. Declining invitations to come on the show. So the list is long, including Benioff, which is Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, Ian Bremmer, who is a political scientist, author, tech at Columbia, right? He's another one of the people on the left, if you will, the progressives. It's their prerogative to discriminate against me. You, sir, are a public official, and the public includes folks that watch my show. Hello.
Get ready.
You are in a key position to determine whether a new generation continue to engage in the greatest money-making machine in history. Millions of new investors are trying to go it alone and not be herded into the trillion-dollar Wall Street money machine. The system and messaging is designed to keep them in the shut up and hand your money to an expert lane. I have always said it's an unfair system where certain people know stuff before others. Watch the volume, watch the options, and then watch the tape. Even with this unlevel playing field, I had to get in the game. I have a different approach to investing, but I admire the hell out of the determination of the so-called investing apes and others who want so badly to change the course of their lives and are willing to put their hard-earned money at risk. Please reconsider coming on the show. It's a critical time that will directly and indirectly determine the fate of millions of people. They just want answers and fairness, not talking points and about how good they have it. Boom, Jeff. For background, my show highlights important issues that affect the ability of people to achieve individual success and prosperity. The focus, however, is on solutions and opportunities. Thank you. Thoughts on that, Jeff?
Man, spot on.
Beautiful.
And then at the end, he says, thank you. I'll meet you on the chain.
He says, thank you. As you know, it's one of the most elegant throat punches I can remember. It's like he nailed him on his ideology. He hit him hard and said, you are in an elite group of progressives who also are refusing to come on the show. The key difference here is you, sir, are a public official, and the public deserves to be able to be heard from. I tweeted out and said, hey, I said, look, Charles is, he's fair. He's well respected. He's well respected in the community. There's Jay's tweet. Jay says, LOL, he has no interest in leaving the shell of his home. Like, it's so funny because we see him. Jeff has commented, he's like, does he ever get out of that room? If anything, he'll join you via Zoom and to talk in circles while saying nothing. Stop wasting your time. No need for him on your show. And, and Jay's calling him out. Jay's like, Jay knows exactly, he and this is what I love about Jay. He's been crushing it lately. He tweeted some other videos out that I just don't think we'll have time to get to. But again, I retweeted him. So go to my feed, look at it. But Jay, you've been crushing it out there lately, man. I always appreciate your participation, tagging Jeff and I in the tweets. Some really good stuff and just making a big difference out there, along with the other OTC members, making a difference out there for, for the entire space, and then look at this one. I like this one here too. Preach, baby. There's sometimes the comments are better than the actual tweet. And again, then somebody basically, by the way, Jeff, did you know Bob Marley tweeted on this? Bob Marley said, hey, no reply from that Nort. So public servant. So he's another Wall Street yes man with pockets lined by the fat cats on Wall Street. That's kind of what Charles Payne was saying is like they want to, and Jeff, this kind of comes down to what you were talking about how they want to centralize it all, and they want it to be so difficult. This is kind of what the language of the broker is, what it was designed to do, where they put the broker in this latest so-called infrastructure bill, where only like 9% is going to infrastructure, but whatever.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to because what?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, you have to go through a broker or license this, a license that, and it becomes so.
They want their objective here is to not rock the boat. All right. If you think about, from that perspective right now, we can go onto a crypto exchange. You can go onto a decentralized exchange. You can go onto Uniswap. You can go onto all these different exchanges and quickly, move and transact your money. They know that it's just a matter of time before all, as we just referenced a little while ago, that all securities are tokenized. It's going to change the world. And as it's orchestrating and changing the world as we know it from a financial perspective, these guys don't have their hands in the pot. They're not getting a piece of it. In fact, they're getting either crushed or they're getting bought out. They get bought out, then what do they care? But they're going to get gobbled up one way or the other. We already know it. And you look at like this Sam Fried, he's what, 29 years old. He's already a billionaire worth a ton of money. He's already in a position where he can buy up some of these smaller companies. Once he starts down that path, and he has very cool hair, right? Crypto.com, another one. They're putting $700 million into putting their naming rights on a stadium. Fried put his naming rights. They're taking over, and it's happening at a rapid pace. They just don't have, they're afraid. They're really, really afraid. And they have the G-Man is there to make sure that that doesn't happen. And or really as delayed as long as they can here in the US, because it's going to happen in the rest of the world. It's happening. That's about all.
Look at the great JV says, for Gary to have talk crypto at MIT, he sure is one-sided now and totally against it. It makes you wonder what his true motive was to go learn about it and teach it. You kind of always have to wonder what the motives are. But look at this. I just found this tweet buried in the mix here. This is on the Charles Payne one. He goes, Charles, you are the one that got me determined to do something. I remember back in 1999, I subscribed with you, and I was getting all the correct and fair advice on trading. I love everything you do and the way you do it out in the open. Man, there's somebody, there's talking about, right? I mean, so this is the thing about him. He's like,
props right there.
Yeah, it's good. And I always love when he talks about stories from his youth too. He talks about growing up. He talks about, some of the things, because, he's coming from a place of like, Wall Street's not easy. And this is what Alex Mashinsky talked about when he was here. Remember, Jeff? He's like, I wasn't trying to create Wall Street 2.0 where Wall Street keeps all the money. We're only going to keep 20% and give 80% of the rewards back when we lend money to institutional. And, we want to give the rewards back to the people. I'm not interested in the next version of Wall Street. And I don't think crypto should be anywhere near it. He said, if you want to beat me, then keep 10% and give 90% away. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's it, Jeff. That's the wrap.
That's it. That's what we got, and we went a little bit long, but appreciate everybody being here with us. And as you guys know, we do stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Saturday, however, I won't be able to be on.
What, Jeff?
So, yep, I'm not going to be on this Saturday.
I might do a Saturday show.
So if you can do a Saturday show, if Chip's going to step up, that'll be awesome.
Potentially. If I do it, Jeff, I'm going to go on my own rant.
Hey, you better. Yeah.
I might have to.
It's a Saturday rant show. So if you do, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, we'll be back on Sunday. You guys out there in the crypto space right here on the chain community, you guys are the best and the brightest, the smartest in all of YouTube crypto space. They're all attracted right here to the on the chain community. Love seeing all the commentary here. Really awesome. And this sums it right up right here from Barbara. Love you guys. Thanks as always. You're a breath of fresh air. So it's awesome. That's perfect. Beautiful, Jeff. Perfect stuff.
That's a wrap. That's all we have. Chip and Jeff out. We'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.